If you were born in America, you were given access to one financial advantage that billions of people around the world never had. An opportunity so powerful, it created millions of ordinary millionaires. And most Americans waste it every single day without even realizing it. Think about that for a second. Right now, while millions of people across the world spend their entire lives trapped in systems where building real wealth feels almost impossible, the average person living inside the United States has access to a financial machine so powerful that for more than a century, it has quietly turned teachers, truck drivers, factory workers, firefighters, office employees, and completely ordinary families into financially free millionaires. And the shocking truth is, this machine was never reserved for the rich. It was built for ordinary citizens. Yet somehow, generation after generation, millions continue ignoring the very system that helped transform America into one of the most economically powerful nations in human history. The world often looks at America and sees skyscrapers, billion-dollar companies, innovation, luxury lifestyles, giant corporations, and enormous economic power. But almost nobody stops to ask the most important question. What actually created all of this wealth in the first place? Was it simply hard work? Was it higher salaries? Was it luck? Or is there a deeper financial system hiding beneath the surface that quietly changed history forever? To understand this secret, we have to go backward more than 100 years to a time when wealth in most of the world looked completely different. For thousands of years across human civilization, wealth belonged almost exclusively to kings, aristocrats, landowners, political elites, and a tiny group of powerful families controlling the economy, while ordinary people worked endlessly with almost zero opportunity to escape financial limitations. In most societies, people could work their entire lives and still never build generational wealth because ownership itself was restricted. The average citizen was never invited into the system. But America changed everything. America introduced one of the most revolutionary financial ideas the world had ever seen. Ordinary citizens could become owners. Instead of simply working for businesses, ordinary people could now buy pieces of those businesses and participate directly in the growth of the economy itself. This was not just a financial innovation, it was one of the biggest economic revolutions in modern history. Imagine living during the early 20th century as the country rapidly industrialized. Massive railroads connected cities, factories expanded across the country, automobiles changed transportation forever, electricity transformed entire industries, and new businesses began shaping the future. And suddenly, average Americans were allowed to own part of this growth itself. For the first time in history, wealth was no longer reserved only for elites. The worker could become an owner, and that single shift changed everything forever. But here comes the hidden truth almost nobody teaches correctly. Most people still believe wealth is created primarily by working harder and earning more income. History proves something completely different. The Americans who quietly built extraordinary wealth were rarely the people simply earning the biggest salaries. The true winners understood something far more powerful. Ownership multiplies faster than labor. Two people can spend 30 years earning exactly the same salary and still finish life in completely different financial realities. One retires stressed and financially dependent, while the other quietly becomes a millionaire. The difference is not intelligence. The difference is understanding how money compounds when attached to ownership. And nowhere in human history has ownership created wealth at the scale America created. Consider this simple reality. Imagine an ordinary American family decades ago consistently investing relatively small amounts every single month into companies like Apple Inc., Microsoft Corporation, Amazon.com Inc., NVIDIA Corporation, or the Coca-Cola Company. They did not need to be experts. They did not need perfect timing. They simply needed consistency and patience. Over decades, those small investments could transform into life-changing wealth worth hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars. And this is where most people completely misunderstand how wealth works. They assume becoming rich requires massive income, perfect timing, complicated strategies, or risky financial bets. But history repeatedly shows the opposite. America quietly created one of the greatest wealth-building systems ever invented because the system rewards long-term participation more than short-term brilliance. Then, something happened during the 1970s that accelerated this opportunity even further. Retirement investing systems like the 401k changed the future of millions of workers forever. Suddenly, school teachers, nurses, police officers, engineers, factory workers, construction workers, and middle-class families across the country gained automatic access to the same stock market wealth-building engine once dominated by elites. This was one of the most important financial revolutions in modern history because America effectively democratized wealth itself. Ordinary citizens now had direct access to ownership at a scale previous generations across history never experienced. But here is where the story becomes even more unbelievable. History reveals that nearly every time America faced financial disaster, fear convinced people the system was broken forever. The Great Depression created panic unlike anything people had ever seen. The oil crisis shook confidence. The dot-com crash destroyed fortunes overnight. The 2008 housing collapse convinced millions capitalism itself had failed. The global pandemic sent markets crashing in historic fashion. Every single crisis looked like the end. Every single crisis caused millions to panic. And every single time America recovered stronger than before. This reveals one of the greatest truths outsiders constantly underestimate about the United States economy. America possesses a financial engine unlike almost any nation in history because the country was designed around innovation, entrepreneurship, competition, private ownership, technological advancement, and long-term economic expansion. New companies constantly emerge. Old industries transform. Innovation never stops. The economy continues reinventing itself over and over again. And investors who understand this reality continuously benefit from the growth cycle. That means America's greatest financial advantage was never simply higher wages. The greatest advantage was access. Access to ownership, access to capital markets, access to world-changing innovation, access to businesses capable of scaling globally. Billions of people worldwide never had this opportunity historically, but millions of Americans were born directly inside the system, and yet many still ignore it every single day. Think about one of history's greatest investors, Warren Buffett. He did not become one of the wealthiest individuals on Earth simply by working harder than everyone else. He understood a principle so simple that most people overlook it completely. Ownership creates freedom faster than labor alone. But the most incredible part of America's system is this opportunity was never reserved only for billionaires. The same markets Buffett used remain accessible to millions of ordinary Americans right now. The same compounding machine that built enormous fortunes for previous generations is still running every second. Yet millions remain trapped chasing income alone. People spend decades pursuing promotions, overtime hours, side hustles, bigger salaries, and temporary financial comfort while ignoring the very system capable of building permanent wealth quietly in the background. America's greatest financial achievement was never simply becoming a rich nation. America fundamentally changed history by giving ordinary citizens something previous civilizations rarely allowed: direct participation in ownership itself. This is the real American dream most people misunderstand. The dream was never simply working a stable job and paying bills forever. The real dream was owning a piece of the nation's future itself. Every share purchased represented participation in innovation. Every investment represented belief in long-term growth. Every patient investor became connected to the same economic engine driving national prosperity forward. And this is exactly why America created millions upon millions of ordinary millionaires over generations. The greatest wealth secret was never hidden behind complicated economics textbooks or elite institutions. It was visible the entire time. The formula remained incredibly simple. Income helps you survive today. Ownership builds your freedom tomorrow. And now comes the biggest truth most people still fail to recognize. The same financial machine that created extraordinary wealth for generations of Americans is still operating right now exactly as it always has. The same opportunities still exist. New companies are still being built. Innovation is still accelerating faster than ever. Entire industries are transforming in real time. The same compounding engine continues rewarding those who understand patience. History has already proven one undeniable fact. America did not accidentally become financially powerful. America became powerful because it built one of history's greatest systems, where ordinary people could slowly build extraordinary wealth through ownership itself. And perhaps that remains the greatest economic innovation ever created in modern civilization. So, the next time someone tells you wealth is reserved only for the rich, remember this. America created one of the first large-scale systems in history where completely ordinary people could become financially independent simply by understanding one principle. Stop working only for money and start owning the future itself. The question now becomes incredibly simple. Will you spend your entire life trading time for money while watching others quietly build wealth? Or will you understand the exact system that helped generations of ordinary Americans create financial freedom unlike anything previous civilizations ever experienced? Because history keeps repeating the same lesson again and again. America gave ordinary citizens access to one financial advantage billions of people throughout history never had: the power of ownership. And those who understood that secret changed their destiny forever. The machine is still running today. The opportunity still exists. The future is still being built right now. And those who understand financial history before everyone else are always the ones who win. If you learned something powerful from this story, remember one thing. The greatest advantage America ever created was never simply opportunity to work. It was the opportunity to own. And ownership built the wealth that changed history forever.